Folks, how do the tariffs work? I honestly think no one understands the consequences of it fully. He's pausing the Mexican ones, but not the Canada ones. His true enemy, the Angevin entity in the north, the last remaining shred of monarchical power on the continent. I want to trash Future today to talk about the Canadian tariff stuff. So that should be out tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm breaking the boycott that we're doing now because Canadians will do a boycott to protect their own national bourgeoisie, who's been continually fucking them and price gouging them on groceries and other things through the semi monopoly they've developed. They'll do a boycott for them, but not Palestinians, of course. It's like Canada immediately creating a national identity as soon as the US started speedrunning Dying Empire. It's very funny. It is fake and it will lead to nothing because the Canadian mind is too reactionary to process any sort of like first Rex, thank you.
I am
Like
gay.
the only possibility that the Canadian identity could possibly be any sort of politically progressive, for lack of a better term, force in politics is despite itself, despite what it is, not because of it. We were placed in this unfortunate situation because of an insane fascist president that thinks that like soft power domination isn't enough, so it has to physically own everything. It's very like fascist. And we talk about this about Trash Future. Where they're like cutting U.S. aid completely, which like is Elon just gonna get like in a plane crash in a bit? Like, are they gonna CIA heart attack on him? Like, what is the deep state doing? What do they feel about this? I'm so curious about the internal divisions and their reaction. Like the same with like Elon gaining like really like private information into like citizen social security numbers and shit. Are these institutions fine with that because it allows them to overreach if they collaborate? Or are they like organizing? Because like, look, if you can get JFK, you can get Elon. And I don't know JFK conspiracy, but presumably they could, right? They had that much power, even if they didn't, even if that wasn't who got him. Like everyone is asleep at the wheel, but there are passengers, and the passengers are like, "Are we okay? Like, what's going on here?" Excited for the 20-year Ford Imperium? Yes, Canadian politics has been completely shaken up by this. I know on Trash Future, I was asked like, what is the smartest thing for both the conservatives and the liberals to do? And for the conservatives, it's like resign. I don't know. They're in a really awkward position now, where like the Canadian right has structured itself around the American right for a very long time, for at least the last 20, 30 years. And now they have to be like, fuck those guys. Like Polyev is trying to be a Trump guy. He's appealing to Trump politics. And then all of those people are like, wait, but we fucking hate Trump now. Like the petty bourgeois Canadian conservative, even before all this, like during the election, they're like, we fucking hate Trump. Especially if you have like a business, you were acutely aware of how much Trump winning was going to fuck you over. Trudeau landslide when he decides to unretire. It'd be interesting because he was forced out completely by being incredibly unpopular. If that happens, like if this happens 3 months ago, so to speak, I mean, it has to happen now, but like in terms of the timeline of Trump being or Trudeau being unpopular, I wonder if he tries to stay in. I think that'd be very funny. Real trans girls live in Canada. I saw a recent tweet of all the posters in one picture. Look, it's a good place to be. Shout out to Canada. I mean, relatively speaking, it is. This has made it, ironically, for trans people a much better place to be. I mean, until he fucking invades, which like he might. Why not? That's the thing. Why not? We know that this is what he's doing what he wants to do. And it's interesting because he's now backed down, or somewhat back down because Trump, it, he can change his mind completely. He was like, "Oh, the Mexicans have started defending the border." What is the demand against Canada? I know ostensibly it's about like the border and fentanyl, but like I was listening to a podcast by where what is her name? Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, the pro Trump Quisling, who is like, instead of being in like the committee, council meetings among the prime minister and the other premiers about like tariffs and responding to Trump, has been at Mar-a-Lago hanging out with Trump and Jordan Peterson and Kevin O'Leary, like trying to be like, oh, we should acquiesce to his demands. Even she on that podcast was basically like, yeah, I think he's serious about tariffs and he thinks that they're the thing that is going to help his the economy. And she spoke of it admirably, which is so cucked given how like dependent Alberta is on like oil exports to America. But she was like, I mean, maybe he just he wants to invade. Like he wants Canada to be a part of America. She didn't say invade, but she was like, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have to deal with tariffs if we were inside the country. So like even she knows that it's like the demand is to accept annexation. Actual Quizlet, I mean literally, yes. Like it is not an exaggeration. Trudeau is listing the cartels as terrorists standing a border fentanyl czar. Yes, he's trying to address he's trying to, like, a part of it is like we're doing the tariffs, but then we're also doing what you ask of us. So it's like if you want to drop this, you can. JJ is look, we're gonna create a House of Representatives, Council of Un-Canadian activities, and he's subject to a review. Okay, insane Quisling behavior. Because this whole thing is Canada's America, and then that's good, and we should integrate. And this is like his 9/11. It's real rough for him. Proletariat, thank you. So even if we are losing, at least JJ is losing as well. Just reported a 30-day pause on tariffs. Is he doing a pause on Canadian tariffs too? The damage has already been done, by the way, culturally speaking. Albertans at a hockey game were booing the American anthem. That doesn't happen. That's like, especially Alberta. Trump to pause promised tariffs for 30 days after speaking with Trudeau. Okay, there you go. So maybe we won't have to do Maoism with Canadian characteristics. The damage is already been done here, though, which is that, like, Canadians are going to hate America a lot more. He'll claim Trudeau didn't negotiate. If Canadians are mad, they should vote for. That would be an insane fumble. I hope he fucking does that. That would destroy the Conservative Party. Canucks food, I see that. That makes sense. As a Vancouver native, that makes sense to me. What concessions? It's about the border, and I think there is some amount of fentanyl that comes in from Vancouver, from like China, Vancouver. Trump came to a deal with Mexico. He didn't come to a deal. He put deal in air quotes. They're not doing anything. There's no, you cannot trust them. Trudeau tweeted. Canada's implementing our 1.3 billion border plan, it's still cucked. Is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. That's an absurd. Yeah, I'm the fentanyl czar. That's like a a crime lord name. Sorry. Cartels as terrorists. So the Mexican cartels that are bringing in drugs from Canada, organized crime and fentanyl. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days. Bros the Fent Lord. In 2024, only 43 pounds of fentanyl was seized at America's northern border. I wonder I wonder if this is the example of the wheel. Like the person who's at the wheel being like, no. I don't actually think we have that anymore. In the first Trump presidency, we did, but he can kind of do whatever. It's a Nothingburger fake demand to make it look like Trump got something out of it. Yeah, of course, because like, what do you actually want? Like, even Daniel Smith, again, was like, I mean, I guess he wants border stuff, but it's not much. Like, it's not a pressing concern. Like border security. 34 pounds enough to kill me. But how many pounds do you think that year they've seized in Mexico? It's like not that much, comparatively speaking, for an entire nation. Like 10,000. That's a chat number. That's a chat fact, which is not to be confused with a real fact. But I believe it. You know, it's like for a country of 300 million people, it's not that much. It's several tons. Yeah, I don't like addressing it as a similar like I'm gonna crash your economy if you if you don't ensure that that Fent isn't coming in. Like Trump isn't doing this to get demands. I think maybe this is a way of giving Trump an out. Just 0.02% of U.S. border fentanyl seizures. Exactly. I mean, it's not a real concern. This is like, I guess, giving Trump an out if he regrets it, because it doesn't look good to just say never mind if you don't get anything. Like and Trudeau is certainly living up to that. I wonder what would happen. Like, I guess strategically, you're just concerned because you want to do anything to make sure this doesn't happen. Um, I guess the smart decision is to make some fake concession. It'd be interesting to see the difference between how this affects Canadian politics even if it happens for a little bit, compared to if it doesn't happen at all. Because I think I don't expect Trump's approval rating for Canadians to bump back up. And there are certain like a lot of conservative politics is based around copying American conservative politics. Um, to the exception of Doug Ford, who is actually a smart political operator, despite him being Doug Ford, like very much so being absolutely the brother of the former crack smoking mayor of Toronto. Like he doesn't do any of the trans culture war stuff because he knows it's like poison. It's like there's no reason to do this. He's like the only, I think, only conservative premier that hasn't like signaled towards it at the very least. Rob Fort Clears, absolutely. Rest in peace. R.I.P. Sweet Prince. Canada's Not for Sale is a good bit politically. Yeah. I mean, he hit the ground running with this. The funniest example being that he I don't know if he actually did this, but I know he talked about doing it. These like pro-Canadian commercials in America to improve the approval rating of Canada. It is a funny moment to see like every part of Canada oddly united culturally against America, including the Quebecois. But yeah, like as you said, the Maple Mega stuff is like this by itself is like unacceptable. Like even if you say just kidding, it's like no, you were doing this. Like that's not okay. NDP Alberta sweep. Oh, there's like is there new polling? It does show you like it's the same with the British Columbian Conservatives. They're taking the Danielle Smith line because they're MAGA people. Like they genuinely are. Like the one of the important higher ups in the party. I can't remember his position. There's a photo of him with the MAGA hat doing like the OK symbol. Like they're Quislings. Rustad celebrated Trump getting elected, and he was like, "I hope they don't do any tariffs." And it's like, it's beyond anything else. It shows that you have bad political instincts. There was the wind is blowing a certain direction in Canada in terms of attitude about America, and like you can't account for that. I mean, Ford has been doing so well that he called an election because of how high he is in the polls. This is also despite him having like a negative approval rating. I will also say that like if Trudeau puts a tariff on Tesla and then drops the Chinese EV tariff, I will become a liberal. I will die. I will. My life is yours, Trudeau. If you let me buy Chinese EVs at market price, I will do it. Like, I'm serious. That will be my first car. I don't want to buy Canadian. Fuck our national bourgeois class. They're evil. They do price fixing. They're as evil as the American one. We need Canadian maoism. This is what needs to develop. We're going full accelerationism. It's the only way the Canadian national identity cannot be reactionary, is despite itself. Yeah, the buy local thing is unfortunate. I mean, I guess like genuinely buying actually local is fine, but yeah, like, oh yeah, go to really show how much you love the Canadian people by going and purchasing something from Loblaws, an institution that really has it, the interests of the Canadian people. The thing about Canada being kind of a fake country is that you see how fake bourgeois nationalism is, where it is just like, yes, the literal difference is that you support the capitalists in your country and not the ones across the border who speak the exact same language, consume the same media and culture, understand the same, but are just on your side of the border. Like, it's very on the nose. What we obviously need is we need to do Canadian Maoism. The French, the Quebecois were already doing this. We just need to. We need them to elevate us to sapience. Like, you see like those far right nationalists who are against immigration in Canada, and they're like, you go into a Timmy's and it's all like Indian people. It's like that's what you're doing fascism for, is so that to keep Tim Hortons white. Like, that's your sacred institution. Trump is making his temporary position of strength to make demands. The thing though is like the demands are fake though. Like, that's what it says in Project 2025. Is we'll do tariffs to make demands. But the demands, like, as people were saying, the concessions Trudeau has made are things that he did 3 months ago. Like, the idea that, like, border security in the North actually means anything and is actually a thing worth pursuing this extremely to, like, essentially sabotage your relationship with one of your most important allies. It doesn't really, like, he thinks he's McKinley. He wants the tariffs. Like, he wants them because he thinks that they're ideal. That's like... We're going to have to deal with the fact that when Trump says something, he means it. Especially when it's a thing where he's like, I like this and I want it to happen in the country. Like, why would he lie about loving William McKinley and loving tariffs? Or loving tariffs mainly. But thinking of wanting to go abolish the federal income tax and go back to tariffs as a way of like filling the treasury. Like, why would he lie about that? If you were using tariffs as a mechanism of like in the Project 2025, who told him about McKinley? That's an important question. If you wanted to use tariffs like that, maybe it was someone who wanted the Project 2025 stuff, but like, he went too far and he actually convinced him too well of the... If you want that, then you say, we're doing these tariffs. Here are our demands. People were asking Trump before, like, what are your demands for Canada? And it was like, be annexed. Didn't he say that? He was like, I don't really have... Like, sometimes he talks about the border and sometimes he's just like, I don't know, just be inside of us. We want you inside of us, Canada. That's it. That's my only demand.